What's up, my crypto homies? Bitcoin fails at 100,000. If you watch my videos, I've been talking about this for some time, the likelihood of Bitcoin approaching 100,000 and getting rejected. This is the daily chart right here of Bitcoin. Now we had, let me just put some of this in. We had this this pattern here. It took a bunch of different shapes, it was just a big bullish long-term pattern. We finally got the big pump that I'd been calling for. I know it probably got boring listening for those months where I kept saying this will eventually do this, but there it is. That's the halving pump. This is probably about half of what's going to happen. I do expect this to go up to about 139,000. That's what I've been saying for a long time. There's a Fibonacci level actually at 139,000 now. Since we put this low end down here on August 5th, whatever the date that was there, at about 49,000. Okay, so I'm gonna make this video about what's going to happen now. I'm gonna go down to the hourly chart and show you what I've been looking at. I wanted to say something. Oh yeah, let's go over to a different chart. I can't show long term on this one. Okay, we've got a lot more history here. What I wanted to say real quick, and I've touched on this in previous videos, there's been about 4 pumps in Bitcoin's history, big ones during post-halving action, and they're about from 30,000 to 35,000. Here's one here that started at about, let's just call it 30,000, and it ended up going up close to 60,000, about 30,000 on that one. There's one here from 40 to close to 70, about 30,000. There's one here, January of this year, 2024. Let's call it, let's say 38,000 to 72,000. So what's this for us? That's about 30. That's the $35,000 one. I thought there was one before, but I don't want to get into that. But my point being was, let's zoom in a little. My point being was, it appeared this pump started here off of, well, you know what? You could kind of see it started before that, if you can go long term. But what I'd been talking about was this pump appears to have started here at about 66,000. And I was saying, if this is the post-halving pump, the start of it, then we're in for probably $30,000 to $35,000 pump. And lo and behold, 66,000. And we stalled out just shy of 100,000. That's about $34,000 pump. And I was saying it's probably going to take a break there. Now, I've been kicking it around. There could be a lot of hype and stuff because 100,000 is a big number. And let's go back over to the other chart. Okay, we're back over on the USDT Bitcoin pairing. So numbers will get a little different from pairing to pairing and site to site, but it's pretty close to the same. I've always been calling for it to come up to here and then probably some kind of fail and then be on its way and break 100,000 later. I've been saying that for a really long time, and that's what I've been thinking. But I've been thinking lately with social media and stuff, the likelihood that this could just come down a little bit and then continue across 100,000 and then be on its way fairly quickly. Just the hype that can social media can dig up around the world. 100,000 is going to get some people's attention. So I've been thinking, what if it did? What if it did actually break 100,000 and maybe flip that into support, and that would get a lot of people's attention, right? That's a big number. It's a lot of pretty zeros, and that would really get a lot of attention, and that could really drive the price. If that happens, I'd watch for about 114,000. There's a Fibonacci level, and for it to take a break into that ballpark, and then on its way up to about 139,000. I'm still sticking with 139,000 as my cycle high. Been saying that for a long time. It's right about here. There's actually a Fibonacci level that's perfectly on my prediction I made a couple of years ago that I've been sticking to. It's just based on scale, right? I've just been watching this for a while, the cycles and how they go. A lot more money is coming in, but the price gets bigger, of course, so it takes a lot more money to drive the price up. 100%. So that's how I got that number. It wasn't just some guess. It was an intelligent guess and educated guess. And I still like that. Now that's not what it's going to look like. Of course, it's going to take probably a lot longer. Blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying. When I scribble like this, don't pay attention to dates and that kind of stuff. Nothing goes up in a straight line. But what I'm saying. And what the heck was I want to say? Oh, let's go down to the hourly chart. I want to show you what's likely going on. Um, Now that's just something I've been thinking about. If it goes over 100,000, so here on the hourly chart, I've drawn in this big red channel. I got up on top of it, and something had to give right in through here. The green horizontal line I've marked at 100,000. That's what that is. And then the gray horizontal line below it is the current all-time high on my chart of $99,645. And it is appearing to be pretty much what I've been saying it's going to do for a long time. It appears to have stalled out. Now, it's got back down into this red channel. It's bounced off the heart line. That's the dotted line in the middle of this red channel. I have the red channel marked in red because it's ascending, which has a bearish tendency to it. That doesn't mean it has to break down. This could break up. This has about a $2,800 target, the red channel. If it broke up out of here from say 99,000, you'd be looking at 101, 100, $102,000 Bitcoin. I kind of like the downside better. If it continues breaking down, you're going to watch for the bottom of the channel, which is at about 96,500, and then the rest of the day, up to like 97,000. This is the hourly chart, so every time an hour goes by, it goes to the right. So of course, the bottom of the channel gets higher and higher. But what I really like is if it breaks down. If it breaks down, it's got about a $2,800 target. So say it broke down from here sometime. This is the weekend, so watch for Monday. Watch for Monday for this to break. Doesn't have to break that, but you can't really. The weekends get a little odd. When the traditional markets open back up, that's when you see. That's when I trust stuff more. I just don't trust Bitcoin on the weekends. But anyways, it does appear to be putting in a top. See how that's working? And this is just a common thing it does over and over. See this big green pump? These two big green hourly candles here. This sent us from 94,000 up into the high 90s. Those two big. This is a common trait for Bitcoin to come back down and bounce off of here at about 94,000. And also, if you go over here to the left, there's a resistance here at around 94. And what else is over here? There's a resistance here when it's set the all-time high back here, November 13th, the previous all-time high. Okay, so this here, where that big green pump started, this is a common characteristic. Now let's go. And this is just experience. I'm not just making this up, right? And say it broke out here from 97,000. So a $2,800 target to the downside, if it broke down, would be at about 94,000. And maybe it does it a little sooner, a little later. It's not a perfect science, but boom, that would be about the target right there. And go over to the left. See what I'm looking at. Go over to the left. See what I just got done saying. Oops, why did my line disappear? Something like this. That's about the target right there for this red ascending bearish channel. If it broke down here in the next day or two, you're looking at about this area. Take the dotted line to the left. Look how that matches up. See how that's happening? Now, if that happens, I would watch for a bounce, basically perfectly off the things I marked over here to the left. I would watch for a bounce at that time. Boom. Maybe this is next week going into Thanksgiving or something. Who knows for sure what's going to happen? But also, another characteristic is what we could be dealing with. If this dump were to continue, then I'd be looking at this because the pump kind of started here. the fast pump, the rapid pump at about 91,500. So I would be looking for it to continue to come down here and then bounce. But I don't see any big crashes or dumps coming. Um, that's just about all I got to say. It's clearly failed at 100,000. It's coming down. Maybe it just tests the bottom of the red channel and then continues. Maybe it kind of continues riding up, something like this, and maybe it's just a bigger top, and later on maybe it comes down. It doesn't have to do anything. I just like to point out things I've seen, and I'll leave the rest up to you. And I certainly hope you have a good day. Later.